Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Intro to Excel. I'm Stefania and I have Kevin here with me today.
Good morning.
We really appreciate you joining us here today, and if at any point you have any questions or comments during the webinar, please feel free to ask them by just typing them into the chat box. Here's a little picture of ourselves. I'm the marketing analyst and Kevin is a senior IT analyst. Before we get into detail about Microsoft Excel, we're just going to give you a little overview of our company. KRS IT Consulting was founded in 2008 and has since then built an excellent reputation with local small and medium-sized businesses. We're here to make your life easier by dealing with your computer issues so that you can focus your time on growing your business. Here at KRS IT Consulting, we offer a wide variety of services, including things like cloud computing, disaster recovery, backup services, security camera systems, website development, and more. As you can also see, we've provided services for multiple different industries that are listed here. Alright, now I'm going to pass it over to Kevin so he can get into detail and begin teaching you the basics of Microsoft Excel.
Good morning, everyone. In this webinar, we are going to show you a basic introduction to Microsoft Excel. Excel is a spreadsheet program that allows one to enter data along with complex calculations and formulas in order to obtain information, knowledge that cannot be obtained by raw numbers. And as we all know, knowledge is power. So Excel can be a really helpful tool for businesses. It helps companies to maximize the value of their data, control costs effectively, and obtain business information. It's great for building charts, formatting tables, identifying trends, and bringing data together. The objective of this webinar is for us to understand the basics of Excel and give you the tools necessary to improve your business. This will be our agenda for today. We will be understanding the basics of Excel, the terminology, the user interface, the uses for Excel, and to bring it all together, we're going to create an income statement for our tutorial. To access Microsoft Excel, click on the Start menu, go to All Programs or Programs, select Microsoft Office, and then select Excel. Now before we get into Excel, we need to understand some terminology that Excel uses. The first is a workbook. This is the actual file where we will store all relevant data. You can think of a workbook as a book with a lot of pages in it. And on your computer, an Excel file will look like the icon on the right. A worksheet is a page in a workbook. It is also called a spreadsheet. In here, data is arranged in a grid, columns are labeled with letters on the top, and rows are labeled by numbers at the bottom. At the top of the program is the ribbon, and it contains options for formatting the worksheet, setting print options, inputting formulas, sorting data, etc. At the bottom of the program is where you can manage and navigate between your worksheets. At the bottom left, you can use the left and right arrow buttons to move between the worksheets. On the right side, you can click the plus sign to create a worksheet. And right-clicking any of the worksheets will give you the option to rename, move, and copy. Underneath the ribbon is a cell reference. This tells you where you are entering data in the worksheet, and it's currently selected on B1. The active cell is marked with a thick, solid border, and data can only be entered in the active cell. Aside from clicking the cells, you can move between cells by pressing Tab to move across columns, or press Enter to move down the next row. Next to cell reference is the formula bar, and this displays the entire contents of the active cell, whether it is data, a formula, or function. You can also add or edit data in this location. When creating a spreadsheet, it is important to understand what the message you are trying to deliver. Will this be a living spreadsheet that data values will change? Will this be information only? Do I need to include a chart or graph? Do we want to use a table and who is my target audience. Once you have defined the objective of the spreadsheet, it will make the creation of the spreadsheet much easier. Now Excel has three primary uses. The first is creating printable forms, as you can see on the right. The next is calculating data. From a spreadsheet template, you can enter data into various cells in a worksheet to get the bottom line result. A great example of this is taxes. As you can see on the right side, you can enter all the relevant information, and at the end of the worksheet you can find whether you deserve a refund or whether you need to pay a tax debt. Now the best purpose of Excel is visualizing data. We can transform tabulated data into charts in order to identify trends, problems, and even compare past performances. Examples include financial histories, statistics, engineering, and anything that deals with dynamic data. The table and chart shown here is from one of my projects in college, wherein I participated in a virtual business competition. At the end, one of my tasks was to analyze our financial information. The data in the table shows a breakdown of our assets. Now looking at the table, there isn't that much information we can gather. However, when placed in the context of a chart, we can gather a lot of information. For example, we can see that cash is increasing overall, shown by the blue bar lines. And it shows that this company is good in managing cash flows and controlling their costs. In years 2015 and 2016, finished goods increased substantially. Now what does this mean? Having too much will result in high storage fees and less cash. And one of the lessons that we learned was not to keep too much inventory. And from an investor's standpoint, this company knows how to manage their finances well and can recover in a bad economy. Now that we understand the uses for Excel, let's apply it in the following tutorial. Today we will be creating an income statement, a spreadsheet that all business owners should know and understand. This can be used to monitor where and how much money is being spent on delivering services or producing goods. To begin, let's create a blank workbook and type in the following information. So now that we're in Excel, let's type in the company name, for example, Acme, and then income statement. Next, in cell B2, we'll type in the year for this income statement. Let's say 2014. Next, we will list our income sources. So let's type in income. The next row, we'll type in sales revenue. Next, we will type in 100 grand in the next cell. Next, cost of goods sold. We'll type in 30,000. Next, we'll type in gross margin. Next, we will list our expenses. We'll type in salaries. Let's say 15,000 for this. Next, let's type in a few other expenses, for example, brand advertising, 3,000. Next, product advertising, let's say 1,000. Product public relations, 1,000. Storage fees, 1,000. And other expenses. We'll leave this as 0. Next, we'll type in total expenses. We'll leave this blank. We'll fill in the rest later on. Next, we'll type in earnings before taxes. Next, income tax. For simplicity, we'll just use 20%. Next last will be net income or loss. Okay, so to make our table a little bit more readable, we resize the columns. So to resize columns, you can drag the end of column A to the desired length. Or you can also double click to auto-fit the cells. Let's just make the first cell a little bit bigger. We'll set it to font 14. Let's bold it. Let's also bold 2014, income, expenses, total expenses, earnings before taxes, income tax, and income. Okay. Now before we fill in the rest of the spreadsheet, we need to understand the core of Excel, its formulas and functions. A formula is a sequence of cells and operators that produce a new value. All formulas begin with an equal sign. A function, on the other hand, is a pre-built Excel formula that takes in one or more values and returns a new value. All functions have the following format. For example, we will summarize our expenses. Now there are three ways to create a summarizing formula. The first one is to use a traditional formula. So in total expenses cell, we can type in equal B9 plus B10 all the way to B14. And to make it easier, you can also click cells to insert it into your formula. The second is to use a function. We can type in equal sum, parentheses, B9 comma B10 all the way to B14. Or we can specify a range by typing in B9 colon B14 instead. The colon indicates range of cells. You can also click and drag to specify the range. We can also use the Formulas tab in the ribbon. Now from this tab you can select a cell to insert a formula and choose which function to apply. The difference between formulas and functions is that functions are easier to read and they're more flexible. So if you add an expense, couple expenses, you can add a new row and the summarizing function will update automatically by itself. Now with this in mind, let's finish the rest of our calculations. Now for gross margin, we will select the sales revenue cell, which is B4, minus, select cost of goods sold cell, then enter. Now for total expenses, we'll type in equal. Actually, let's use the Formulas tab for this. So let's select total expenses, go to the Formulas tab, select Auto Sum, and then click Sum. Now as you can see, it'll determine the correct range for you. To accept it, press Enter. For earnings before taxes, let's type in equal sign, select gross margin, subtract, then total expenses. Press Enter. For income tax, we'll type in equal, select earnings before taxes, For multiplication, we will use the asterisk symbol. Next, type in 0.20. Now for net income, you'll type in equal earnings before taxes minus our income tax. After we finish our income statement, by now your spreadsheet should look like this. I listed the formulas for your reference. Now to combine cells, we can use operators. The operators are plus sign for addition, minus sign for subtraction, forward slash for division, and the asterisk for multiplication. Now just like algebra, you can also use the parentheses to control the order of operations. Next, we will format the data. This increases the legibility of the spreadsheet and adds professionalism. We will format our income statement to the GAAP, or Generally Accepted Accounting Principles standard. So first we will format the dollar amounts. So let's select all the dollar values in this column. Right click, select Format Cells, select Accounting, and for symbol we will put a $sign. Click OK. Next, you will hide the $sign for everything in between. So this will leave sales revenue and income with a $sign. So let's select those cells. Select Format Cells. This time we'll select the symbol to none. And finally, we will format the last cell to indicate that this is the bottom line. So we'll select cell B20, click on the borders icon, and then select top and double bottom border. So your income statement should look like this now. Next, you will create a chart. Charts provide valuable insight to your data. It can be used to guide decisions for the betterment of the company or yourself. In this example, we will create a distribution of the expenses incurred outside of production. So to begin, let's select the categories and the corresponding dollar amounts. So that's from cells A9 to B14. Next we will go to Insert, Recommended Charts. We'll select the pie chart and then select OK. And your chart will appear next to your table. Next, let's change the chart title by double-clicking. Oops. Let's type in expenses. And from the Design tab in the ribbon, we can choose from several preset designs. Let's choose this one. Now you can also change any chart element by selecting the chart element. For example, expenses, and then using the sidebar to format the chart element. Congratulations! You have just created your first workbook. Now that we have finished the worksheet, let's move on to saving and printing. To save our workbook, we can click on File, Save or Save As, and if you have 2013, select the Browse button, and then choose where you want to save the data, and then enter a file name. for example Acme income statement, and then click on Save. Some tips for saving the workbook. We should save frequently to avoid data loss. Pressing Ctrl and S is a great shortcut to save your file quickly. Also, pressing F12 will save your changes to a new file, leaving the previous version intact. Next, we will print a worksheet. When printing spreadsheets, it's a good idea to define which cells to print, so that you can specify how you want the printout to look later on. This is especially important for large worksheets. Now, to specify the print area, we will select the area that we want to print, and we will also include the chart. So that's from cells A1 to K20 in our example. Next, we will go to the Page Layout tab in the ribbon, click on Print Area, and then click Set Print Area. Next, we will go to File, Print. From here, we can specify which sheets to print, or we can choose to print the entire workbook, or just print a selection. For now, we will print the active sheets. And the following options, we can choose the page size, the margin, and whether we want double-sided or not. But the most interesting feature for Excel is the scaling options. There are several scaling options that we can use whenever our spreadsheet is large. We can choose to fit it on one page, we can choose to fit all columns on one page, and we can also choose to fit all rows on one page. And we can also choose how wide or how tall in pages how we want our printout to look. So we will choose to fit on one page. As you can see, it will scale your worksheet so that it will fit on one page, so that we don't have to change the formatting of our fonts. And once you're done, we can click Print. This concludes the Introduction to Excel webinar.
Thank you, Kevin, for presenting the material. We covered a lot of valuable information. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat window and we will answer them for you. Let me review the questions we have on board. Okay, here's one from Matt. Matt would like to know, how can you run a spelling and grammar check on the spreadsheet?
Good question. Okay, to run a spell check on your worksheet, let's go to the Review tab on the ribbon and then click on Spelling. That will spell check your workbook.
Thank you, Kevin. Here's another question from Kathy. Kathy would like to know how to rename a worksheet.
To rename a worksheet, we can right-click the desired worksheet, select Rename, and from there we can rename our worksheet.
Thanks, Kevin. That's great. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Stay tuned for more webinars that will be coming soon, and feel free to contact us and visit our website. Thank you all for joining us, and have a great day.